You're joining us on the IFM electronics stand, and I'm here with Tim Baker. Hello, Tim. How's the show going so far? You look really busy.
Well, so far we are pretty busy, yes. So we've only been open an hour or so, and they're cracking on. Yeah, lots of people interested. So.
Right. For anybody that's not familiar, who are IFM Electronic?
IFM Electronics, a German manufacturing company that's been around since 1969, actually. So we're now quite well established in the UK market. Have been since 1981. We're market leaders in basically sensing technology originally, so that means position sensing, process sensing, but we're now, in the last few years, we've moved a lot more into connectivity of that, so taking things up to a higher level. And now with people talking about, you'll have heard of whatever you call it, Industry 4.0 or Internet of Things and all of that, which is really all about just getting more information back from your plant to make everything more efficient. We are now one of the leading companies in that sort of technology too. So what we're hoping that people would be interested in looking at is getting a lot more out of not just the sensors, but connecting everything together, from sensor level to PLC level, and feeding back too, because it's all about not just getting details from a machine about how many boxes you've made, but how well you're doing it, how easily can you change things as well. Agility is another one of these buzzwords. You need to be able to change your production from one day to the next. There was a time when people would only make one or two different versions of a product, and changing over from one to the next would mean a lot of manual adjustment of machines, changing recipes, changing this, changing that. Took a long time, so they wouldn't do it very often. But now the market is demanding a lot more customized product. So with the connectivity that we have nowadays, we can actually change things at the control level. You can just, at the push of a button, change all the sensor settings, and away you go, off to the next product.
It's all about making the production process slicker, faster and quicker, which is what everybody wants.
Precisely, but also keeping an eye on the machines, because there's also the maintenance aspect. Again, what you want to avoid when you're having a more efficient production, you want to avoid your machines actually having to be taken out of production in order to maintain them. So yes, you can still do that, of course. We're not going to stop people doing that, but they need to maintain production as much as possible. So they need to know when something is going to need maintaining, rather than just taking it out as a routine matter. It's the sort of thing you see nowadays with cars. I mean, there was a time when you'd take your car regularly in for a service after every, whatever it was, 6,000 miles. Nowadays, your car tells you when it needs to be serviced. It's exactly the same with machines. We can give you a lot more information, a lot of feedback from the status of that plant to tell you when you need to be looking at it. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got some very fascinating looking bits of machinery here. Now, I'm imagining when it comes to sensors, there must be a huge product range that you supply. But let's have a look at some of these here, and if you could talk us through them, that would be fantastic. What is this?
Well, you're quite right. There are lots of different things that we supply, and on here, this is a representation of a conveyor. Obviously, we put it vertical because that takes up less space than a horizontal one. And here we're showing various things, from simple devices which merely detect the presence of an object. So there's photoelectrics here, a couple of devices. There's an ultrasonic sensor. Those are just saying, yes, the product's on the conveyor. Then we have more sophisticated ones. If you look at if you can see this unit here, that's measuring the distance to an object. You can see the laser spot there. So as that comes down, you see the count going down, so it's measuring how far that is. Then these are codes. So that's like a QR code, which you'll have seen. That is being read by the device over there. Similar fashion, this is an RFID code on that tag, and that's also being read by another one down here. And all of that is being fed back to the central control system.
So how many different sensors are just on this one demonstration here?
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's about There's about 10, I think, on here.
And is that kind of standard, or is this showing everything that you can have?
This is showing most of the things, not everything.
Yeah.
You could still have other devices which we don't have on here, but there's a lot that is on there that is typical of what you would have on a conveying line detecting different objects.
Fantastic. It's really fascinating to see actually all the different elements at play. Should we move along to this one here? What is this one?
Over here we have a typical installation which shows the a mechanical setup of a motor which could be driving anything that we'd have on a typical plant, and these are the bearings that you would then have for any moving part. Now this is what I was talking about with the maintenance, predictive maintenance, condition-based maintenance, because this is monitoring the condition of the systems. So here we have vibration monitors in various different configurations. So there are individual probes which go back to a central unit here, or a standalone unit like that one with a display. There's also a simple standalone unit. So this, for example, will show on that display, because it's green, everything's okay. But if I start that, it goes red because the vibration is it's showing that there's a damage state there.
So this is, going to save all of those costly issues potentially with machinery. Hopefully you can see the problem before it happens.
Precisely, yes. Whether it's the mechanical side like that with the actual movement, or the condition of the oil. So here we can show, in this instance there isn't any oil in the system, because that would be too messy potentially on an exhibition stand. But that will show particles in the oil, so if there's little bits of metal broken off. Or this one here will actually detect moisture content. So if there's water dissolved in the oil, which is again something that happens a lot. So the whole time you can tell exactly what's going on, rather than having to sample the oil, send it to a lab and have that tested once every 6 weeks or something. It will do that constantly. So you just leave the machine running and it will warn you that that level is changing, and therefore you can plan your maintenance.
So it really is all sides of the processing, process, isn't it? You can look after your machinery, you can see that things are working correctly all of the time, which is just going to streamline things massively.
Indeed it is. And it's not just the moving parts like that and products, but there's process side of things with levels and temperatures and pressures. That's shown there. And here, again, everything is linked up together. So this display shows different technologies for detecting levels, whether that's continuous level or point level, for pressures, temperatures, and all of that, like I say, is fed back. So you can display all of that centrally. You can warn people warn plant operators of individual levels, and they can change settings remotely too. Okay. So everything is wireless these days. Yeah. So we have displays. I could show you a display over there, or on the iPads that we carry, where you can see every individual detail. You can drill down from, let's say, a national level. If you have different sites, you can pick the site that you're interested in. You can then pick a certain part of the plant that you're interested in, a certain machine, right down to a certain sensor, and all of that from your yacht in the Bahamas, if you so desire.
Oh, that sounds nice, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So what kind of visitors would you like to see coming over and having a chat with you this week?
Well, we're interested in anybody from any industry, because we can supply, and we do supply to all walks of industry, anything from food manufacturing to automotive, to bricks and textiles and printing, anywhere where there's automation. And that can, of course, not just be in fixed installations, but on vehicles too. Well, that's another field that we do a lot of work in. And as far as the individuals are concerned, again, we will deal with anybody from, obviously, the plant level, where they're interested in individual maintenance products, or maybe getting a better sensor for an individual task, but right up to the higher levels of management, because those are the ones that are interested in the efficiency of the plant. Yeah, they need that data. They need that. Well, not just data, and that's an interesting point that you use the word data. A lot of people are bandying around big data. Yeah, we can do big data, but data's no good if you don't know what it means. Just giving you numbers is pointless. You need to be able to interpret that. What you want is information. And a lot of these systems that we now have will take the data and provide that as information in terms of graphs or, as I said, emails with information to say that needs fixing, anything along those lines. So you can be far more productive.
Well, it's been fascinating having a look around your stand. If you need some input on sensors, Tim is your guy. Pop down to the IFM electronics stand today.